In August of 2023, I stumbled my way into some T205 cards. I wasn't looking for them, but they found me, and I fell in love with the set. As way leads on to way, I doubt if I should ever come back. So I chose the path less traveled by, and began to collect the complete T205 Phillies team set, and that has made all the difference. Here's the story from start to finish, including how much it cost. Back in the inaugural episode of the Highs and Lows of Sports Card Show series, I told the story of my initial foray into the T205s. It all started with Dodie Paskert, a Piedmont-backed gem that I pulled out of a $10 box.
Thumbing through here and there, I stumbled across a fabulous $10 diamond, a 1911 T205 George Paskert. Paskert's nickname was Dodie. He played for the Phils from 1911 to 1917. He just barely missed the 1912 National League MVP award and was a major piece of the 1915 Phillies who won the team's first pennant. Dodie would be my first T205 card and the oldest single card in my collection.
For $10, I thought it was a nice oddity to accompany the rest of my collection. But then, in the same box, I found another T205 for $10, Pat Moran this time, and another Piedmont back.
Remarkably, though, in the same box, I came across another T205 $10 diamond. This time, it was Pat Moran. Moran came to the Phillies in 1910 and was the backup catcher for a few years. He morphed into a player coach and was the primary force in the development of Grover Cleveland Alexander, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Pat Moran became the Phillies manager in 1915 and led the team to their first pennant. Having found the ideal card to keep Dodie Paskert company, I gave the dealer a crisp Andrew Jackson for the pair, a hearty handshake, and left with a crapulent smile worthy of C. Montgomery Burns.
Excellent.
For $20, I had two new Phillies cards from a year and set I wasn't targeting, and that show continued to pay off as I found a third card there.
Wouldn't you know, it was another T205 gold border sweet cap rollback Fred Jacklich. Fred Jacklich had two stints with the Phillies from 1900 to 1902 and 1907 to 1910. One T205 is an oddity. Two is a pair. Three? That's a collection.
The Jacklich was a sweet cap rollback and cost $50, which might have been a tad high given the small crease, but I hadn't fully researched these cards yet. Whatever I overpaid, I made back in the other two. So in August of 2023, I had stumbled into the T205s and was $70 deep into the team set, which has 12 cards in total. I did my thing, which is overly compulsive research. I read about the set order release, the different backs, which were rare, which weren't, and the like. I researched scarcity and prices in the other cards. 10 of the cards in the team set are commons and fairly available. The Sherry McGee was more expensive than the rest, as he is in the T206 set too, because of the notoriety of the McGee Error card, which brings big money anytime one sells. That has historically pulled up the value of the other Sherry McGee cards from this era. The big money card of the T205 team set, though, is not Sherry McGee. It's John Rowan. This card is an order of magnitude more scarce than the rest, and commands serious money. Upon first look, the cheapest card I could find was $300. With the reconnaissance done, my plan was to pick off the commons in any back available, slowly diversifying the backs as I went, and hunt more seriously for a McGee or a Rowan as they came up. I set up some saved searches on eBay and the like, and off I went on my team set journey. It was a quiet collecting fall, as it typically is for me who works in higher education. That's my busy season. I made a few pickups for other sets, including a 33 Gaudy team set that I was trying to finish, but no T205s for months. That was until Christmas of 2023, when...
To hell with ties and golf balls. Santa brought me a 1933 Gaudy Jackie Warner and a T205 Chaz Dewin.
My wife peeked at my eBay watch list and snagged the Chaz Dewin, which made for such a nice gift. And since it was a gift, it didn't count against my budget. Chaz Dewin was a longtime catcher turned manager for the team in 1911. Another 2 months went by when February of 2024 brought another card show score from the same dealer who sold me the Fred Jacklich.
Phillies guy, he called out. I've got one for you. Now this is a dealer who knows me well, knows what I collect, and who sets aside things for me when he encounters them. He knows I've been working on a T205 team set, one of which I bought from him last year. So out he pulls another T205, and a beauty, William Bransfield. Bransfield went by the nickname Kitty. He played from 1898 to 1911 for 4 teams. He played for the Phillies from 1905 to 1911, the year of this card. He was an average ball player with a career .270 batting average and respectable fielding percentage. Kitty Bransfield died in 1947 at the age of 72 after a career as a player, manager, coach, and umpire. A true baseball man. I was definitely coming home with this card.
The Kitty Bransfield came in a $60 package deal that also included a 64 Topps Giant Johnny Callison and one other card. So we'll call this another $50 card. It was an honest long cut back, the third back variation for me thus far. Next up came Mickey Doolin in March, a Piedmont back that was a $40 pickup on eBay. It's technically an error card as his name is misspelled Doolan instead of the correct Doolin, but a correction was never issued. This listing caught my eye because in the photos there was a fairly noticeable black smudge across his face. I figured that would make a lot of buyers pass it by, assuming damage, but it really looked like just a bit of schmutz to me. So I won the auction, and for $40 the Doolin arrived as pictured. And then I did what you're not supposed to do. I put a tiny dab of distilled water on the end of a Q-tip, and that smudge came right off. It was just a little bit of surface dirt. The card, without the smudge, presented beautifully and got me halfway along the T205 journey. Fast forward to May, and I snagged another 2 off eBay from the same seller in the same auction group, Robert Ewing and John Titus. The Ewing was a polar bear back, adding another back for my set. He was the oldest pitcher on the staff and didn't see many games during his short tenure with the club. The John Titus was also a polar bear back. Titus has a very famous card in the T206 set showing him with a mustache, the only mustachioed player in the entire T206 set. But here in the T205 set, just a year or so later, Titus is shown clean-shaven. After tax and shipping on the deal, I got the pair for about $150 all in, $75 each. Both cards are crease-free with clear lines in vibrant color, the most important aspects for my collecting eye. 8 out of 12 down. I was over the hump. The commons were coming easily, but I was long discouraged by the McGee and the Rowan. The Rowan was just scarce, with very few cards available, and those that were available were really high prices. The McGee was available, but was just more expensive than I thought it should be, so I waited and I waited. Eventually, I was pinged for a new eBay auction that began at 99 cents. The seller had a lot of feedback and thousands of items for sale, but didn't appear to be a baseball card power seller, more of a general antique store. So I bid $1 on the McGee and searched through the rest of the seller's stuff. He had other T205s for sale in the same auction, including the John Lobert. The McGee was a sweet capital back, but a black ink variation, another notch in that bedpost. The John Lobert was a Piedmont. As the auctions neared their end, the prices didn't soar, and I was able to snag the Lobert for $40, which was about market price. But I got the McGee for $40 also, which by my pricing was a huge savings under the $125 or so I was expecting to shell out. Happy as a honeybee in a sunflower with that outcome. It was 10 months of saved searches on eBay before the right card came along at the right price. Patience is such a virtue in the world of baseball cards. That left 2 cards remaining, the very pink John Bates and the elusive John Rowan. The Bates I finally snagged in June of 2024 from a Facebook pre-war collecting group. It popped up for sale with the seller asking $40 for it. It had some creasing, but not across the face, an acceptable caveat. But what drew me to it was that it was a sovereign back. The sovereigns aren't super rare, but they are more scarce than the Piedmonts and the Sweet Caporals. John Bates was an above-average player with a great eye, and he walked a ton and was often at the top of the league standings for on-base percentage. He only played 2 seasons with the Phils. I offered $30 for the Bates. We negotiated to $35, and I finally bought a card off of Facebook, something I didn't think I would ever do. With the Bates in hand, I was 1 card short, the John Rowan. Nearly a year of online searches and shows and auctions, and I was no closer to obtaining this card. But by the time I snagged the Bates, I had all my arrangements confirmed to go to the National at the end of July. I set my sights on the Rowan there. I detailed that entire trip back in Season 6. It was incredible, and just after I walked in on the very first day...
With the ball now rolling, I asked for the stack of T205s, and boom! John Rowan. Just a few minutes into the show, and I had pulled the biggest card from my wish list, and the last card needed to complete my T205 team set. And this very rare, hard to find, tough short print was only $30? Yeah, it's creased, but $30? It's such a rush to flip through stacks of baseball cards hoping to pull that one elusive unicorn you've been chasing for so long. Who needs to open new packs when you have this? This is just as good. My show was made, and I had just arrived.
Set complete. Also at the National, I picked up a cheap second Pat Moran, but was a Sweet Caporal back to the complement of the Piedmont I already had, and a very beat-up John Titus for $10. Because my page had 15 slots and the set was only 12 cards, why not, right? The Rowan was a polar bear back, bringing my complete set variety to 5 Piedmonts, 4 polar bears, 2 redback Sweet Caporals, 1 blackback Sweet Caporal, 1 honest long cut, and 1 sovereign. All in, the T205 Phillies team set cost me about $455, an average of about $38 per card. It took a year from start to finish, and I just love them. Great art, great colors, little jewels of baseball history. I am left with an open page slot, so I will pursue one more in time, in a back variation that I don't currently have. For now, my sights are set on other collecting goals. So that's the story of collecting a complete T205 Phillies team set. I completed the Gowdy set a while back, and if you like this video, you'll probably like that one too. I am currently working on the T206 team set, and that story has yet to be written. Good luck with your collecting goals, and may the baseball card gods be ever in your favor. Thanks for watching. The T205s I have come to adore. I'll see you next time on Baseball Card Stories, Legends, and Lore.